Glad to have your company this afternoon on the Midday Brief. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. In our headlines, government says students of teacher training colleges will no longer enjoy trainee allowances. Rather, they will be given students loans, really. Now, residents of Kasowa Obom up in arms against Assembly's planned demolition exercise. We'll go over live to the area to bring you an update on the situation. NPP supporters to hold vigil across the country to intercede for their General Secretary, Sir John, and a communications team member, Hobson Adoye, as they appear before the Supreme Court tomorrow. Police implicated in galamsey activities which led to the death of 2 in Chifopraso. Stay with me, I'll bring you details of these stories and many more in a bit. Now, students enrolling into the various colleges of education in Ghana this academic year will not be entitled to trainees' allowance from government. Deputy Education Minister Samuel Kujeto-Ablakwa said government has decided to replace the allowance due students at the colleges of education with students' loan. He said fresh College of Education students could now access the Students' Loan Trust Fund like their colleagues in the various universities and polytechnics across the country. Now, this new government policy, the Deputy Minister pointed out, would not affect continuing students, explaining that only those newly admitted this academic year would be affected. He, however, indicated that fresh teacher trainees would be fed 3 times by government alongside accessing the students' loan. Okujeto-Ablakwa announced this major government policy while interacting with journalists at the Deeper Life National Campus Congress at Brofuyedu in Kumasi. He said the move was one of government's interventions to help develop the colleges of education and better the lives of the teacher trainees during their studies. Meanwhile, President Mahama has also been re-emphasizing and explaining this new arrangement for the teacher trainees.
Government has not been able to admit to the full capacity of the training colleges because government does not have enough money to pay the teacher trainee allowances. And so you go to the school has a capacity to take double the students, but because of the ceiling on the teacher trainee allowances, we're not able to do that. And so the thinking is that, okay, from a certain year, let's take out the teacher trainee allowances because they become colleges of education and our tertiary educational institutions. I mean, if you go to Legon, you're not paid allowances to go to Legon and go and study. University of Education Winneba is producing teachers. We're not paying trainee allowances to teachers who go to University of Education Winneba. And so if we upgrade the colleges of education and we say they are tertiary institutions and can award university degrees, why would you pay one group teacher trainee allowances and not pay another group teacher trainee allowances? And yet if we took away the teacher trainee allowances, then we could fill these colleges of education to full capacity and see whether we need some more.
So in the studio with me now is President of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, Abdullahi Muntaka, to discuss the decision to scrap the trainees' allowance. Good afternoon to you and thanks for your time this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
I understand you're unhappy, but what is making you unhappy?
Thank you very much. I think the whole thing started on 22nd of June this year. We woke up to the news that the government intends to do away with the trainees' allowance and have it replaced with.
How bad is that?
Have it replaced with students' loan. We consider this decision of the government to be very detrimental to education in the country, particularly basic education. Because looking at the historical antecedent that led to the implementation of this allowance package, one will not consider or think of a government that is scrapping or trying to scrap the allowance. Because this allowance was implemented to serve as a motivation and attraction to quality teachers in the low-paid teacher profession. You are getting me? over the years, people do snub the teacher education because of.
And so this came in as some form of incentive.
Good.
But maybe we have been able to capture the B2, the honey bag, so we can decide to scrap it if we can't fund it anymore.
No. What is the guarantee that when we scrap it, the teacher education will still have those number of applicants or those number of people trying to go into? What I want you to understand is that the allowance is serving as an attraction. You are getting me? It is serving as an attraction to the youth to go into the teaching profession.
Which the president has explained that the government can no longer fund the allowances it gives. So which would you prefer? Allowance that delays, allowance that won't come, or you prefer a student's loan that would be on time?
We believe that there are several ways, there are several mechanisms the government can put in place in order to generate funds.
Like what?
The government can introduce the fee-paying policy into our colleges of education. And then it can also introduce, we are aware sandwich and distance programs are currently ongoing on our campuses. This can be expanded to absorb many people. By doing this, the government can generate funds to source this allowance scheme. Because let me come. They are saying we are going to tertiary because we are being migrated to a tertiary institution. For that matter, we won't take what's the allowance, but that will be taking student loan. This is quite unfortunate, and it will be unfair if we try to equate the colleges of education to the other tertiary institutions.
Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we?
Considering the fact that we, at the end of our course, we are being posted to deprive communities.
National Service also does the same for students in the universities and polytechnics.
But we are bounded. That is where we are going to serve, even after our teaching practice or whatever we are going to be in the communities for a particular period of time where we'll be where we qualified for student for study leave. We are going to be there. But where you complete your university or any other tertiary institution and you do your national service, you will now choose where you are going to work.
How much are we even talking about here? The allowance, how much is it?
We take something close to 300 Ghana cedis per month. Yes.
Close to 300.
Yes.
You know, students' loan now, depending on the amount of academic work you do, gives even up to 350
even
Ghana
considering the loan, because the loan cannot perform the incentive role that the allowance is playing on our very campus.
Because you'd have to pay back
with interest, not just paying back. We are paying it back with interest. You see, so you can't compare the role of the allowance to the student loan.
Let's look at this way. If you're a student and you go to the university,
yes,
you take up all the polytechnic, you take a student loan.
Good.
And then you pay back with interest, which is deducted from your salary, which you earn in the first place.
Good.
Why should the case of the teacher be different? Because after you have done your teacher practice, or I don't know, you that's what you called it, you earn some money and you have taken a loan, just pay back. That shouldn't be too difficult.
You see, we are a tertiary with a difference. We are a unique tertiary. You understand? We are being trained for a specific purpose in the country. We are serving a specific purpose.
You're not paid enough? Is that what you're looking at?
Of course.
As the difficulty in paying back students' loans?
I think it is common knowledge that teaching profession is a low-paid profession. I don't have to sit down here and say it. We all know that it's a low-paid profession. So attaching this deduction to our salaries after our course in the colleges is quite unfortunate and unfair. Yes. Because what I'm saying is that we are being trained for a specific purpose, unlike the universities and the polytechnics and other tertiary institutions.
Let's quickly move on to what the association intends to do about this.
Actually, we've already started working on it, trying to get the government to reconsider their decision.
Right.
Yes.
What's been the response so far?
So far, we've not heard of any positive response from the government. We made several attempts to meet with the Deputy Minister for Education in charge of tertiary, Honorable but all our attempts prove futile. So as I speak with you, we have petitioned government on it, stating why we think the allowance shouldn't be abolished because it's going to be detrimental to the future
then
of education in
then
this
what?
country.
Government here you does nothing about it. Then what?
We don't expect the government not to do anything or not to hear us because as I speak with you, somewhere on 9th February 2009, the leadership of this association called on the then Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, the current President John Dramani Mahama. And among other things, he promised that government is not going to do away with the trainees' allowance. And he is going to, he's rather improve, that government is rather going to improve on the allowance. And then they're going to develop the ICT infrastructure and other things. True to his word, the ICT infrastructure in the colleges has been improved. The trainee allowance has been improved. But we are not, we are baffled. We don't understand the reason why today there is a sudden change of mind.
There's a 360.
Yes.
Speaking of the fact that our president seems to have a lot of love for the teacher trainees, you remember that we've been told that some 10 teacher trainee colleges would be established if I remember correctly.
Yes, yes.
So that we can expand the facilities in our and also expand the facilities in our existing colleges. But if you also remember this, then I'm sure you know very well that it's come under a lot of attack that it's not necessary to establish too many teacher training colleges, but rather we should concentrate on expanding and making those that are already existing better. What does the association think about this?
Thank you very much. I don't want to dive into the political aspect of this issue. When you look at this country, GES in their report some time ago reported that Ghana is having a 60,000 teacher deficit. And then we have a people to teacher ratio of 80,000. So which means that when it comes to the teachers in the classroom, there is a serious problem in the country. We are having a very serious problem with the number of teachers, which means that mechanisms need to be put in place in order to bridge the gap. You are getting me? So if the government is of the view that 10 more colleges of education are to be established, well, we wouldn't have a problem with that. If only it will not come, those 10 colleges of education wouldn't come at the detriment of the existing ones.
Right.
Yes. So if the government is to introduce or establish a 10 more colleges of education, he should not neglect the.
But do we need 10 more teacher training colleges? Aren't we absorbing the number of trainees already in the ones we have?
Yes, yes. You see, the number this country every year we produce somewhere 11,000 teachers, new teachers, and considering the number, the attrition rates, the number of teachers who desert the profession every year, you realize that much needs to be done, not just improving or increasing the quota in the college of education. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to have to say thank you very much, Abdullah, and we wish you all the best as you try to change the government's mind again to maintain the allowance. Abdullah Muntaka is president of the Teacher Trainees Association. He's been reacting to government's intention of scrapping the teacher allowance enjoyed currently by most teacher trainees and replace it with a student's loan. But moving on quickly with some other stories, the police at Chifopraso in the central region have been accused of engaging in illegal galamsey operations. Although the police have denied the allegation, the president of the Ati Mukwa Traditional Council, Nana Kwesi Kenin, and the district chief executive, Bosman Osei Shiaman, insist the allegations were rife in the town. Shiaman suggested the transfer of all policemen in the town since some of them were said to be involved in illegal mining operations. A delegation led by the Central Regional Minister Samuel Sapon and including the Director General of Police Operations, Commissioner of Police John Kudala, was in the town to help calm nerves after 2 illegal miners drowned on Friday evening after an alleged police clamped down. And some of these policemen have also been accused of operating private boats to engage in illegal activities and the proceeds collected at the end of each day. also watching the midday brief, and let's go to Kasowa, where residents of New Obom in the Wutu-Senya East Municipality of the Central Region have threatened to march to Accra to protest the Assembly's planned mass demolition exercise in the area. According to Chairman of the New Obom Road Residents Association, Stephen Ofusu Ejare, they will resist any attempt to pull their structures down. The Assembly claims the land which was acquired by government has been earmarked for the construction of some road projects, including the Bus Rapid Transit System. Municipal Chief Executive Dr. Nuhu Adams said the land was acquired from one Alhaji Bala Fawa after a thorough search was conducted to authenticate its true owner. The MCE said several efforts for the residents to produce proof of ownership of the land yielded no results. He said those occupying the land are doing so illegally, stressing that none of them would be paid compensation when the Assembly embarks on the demolition exercise. But Ijaris claimed the residents acquired the land legally, adding that in 2005, a court placed injunction on the said Alhaji Fawa from further stepping on the land following litigation between him and the residents. Right.
I had my colleague MC at gas out in order to put the traffic congestions in Kasowa to a rest, at least for a very long time. We've all seen what is happening in our road network. Fortunately for us, the Urban Roads Department awarded a road contract. There were 12 kilometers road starting from JD, from just after the toll booth on your right, so that you can be able to meander through Amount from into Adamnana, then to the Kasowa New Market, then on the Bojas Road, so that without necessarily using the main traffic light, Kasowa traffic. So this was the issue. So when we went around, we earmarked some structures that have actually encroached on the main road. Then the contractor is supposed to come on site. So we have already a land that is being acquired to be used as what is the Bus Rapid Transit Depot. So those heavy duty machines were to use that place as a land, the site office, so that they can start this work. Unfortunately for those who have encroached that land that belongs to government for now, thought that we are coming to demolish their structures, and they started embark on this noise, running from radio station to radio station, without even having the recourse to even come to the assembly or petition us if really they are the bona fide owners of the property. And for sure, they know we have given a notice, served them a series of notice that we are going to demolish. We pasted those notices on their walls, their structure, when they started. And I can tell you, if they're able to produce one single document, permit or indenture or site plan, that shows that they are the owners or have title to that land, in fact, I will leave those structures. I am challenging them. And anybody who is hearing me to say that I said that if they produce a single document of title to the land there, I will give it to them. I will not even touch anything. What happened was that this Alhaji farm happened to be the farmer, acquired for farm, a very huge commercial farm. So later, when the place developed and became a residential area, I decided to change it to convert to estates. Then the assembly came in when we were just looking at where to put the depot, because the terminal at Kasowa there will be the terminal, BRT terminal, that old market. So it will not be enough to be a depot, because we went to Lagos and we saw how huge the depot is. All the buses in Accra will operate on the BRT. That's where they'll be servicing them. Their garage, their spraying office, their maintenance, everything is there with all. So they'll be it will create job for our youth. So we said, then let's look for a land off the main road. So that was done. Quickly, when we got that land, then Alhaji Fal came in. Now he will give it belongs to him. First, we thought, so as assembly, when you want to acquire land, you need to do what we call search. Search was made. It showed the title was in the man's name. He's not a fool. He registered the land in his name. So when he was the owner, he has not handed over to the government or the assembly or the Urban Roads Department, he was using these land guards. So they were protecting it, for nobody was encroaching until they heard that he has sold it to us. When the assembly is not going there regularly, they started selling the place from who was selling or without even giving them documents. Then they started mounting structures. I don't know whether they are planting, instead of planting maize, they were planting structures.
So let's cross over to Obom in Kasowa, where my colleague Eric Curtis Howard is standing by with the latest on the situation. Curtis, if you can hear me, please take over.
Hello?
Right, and so I understand Curtis is on the phone, but at the moment you're seeing live pictures from Obom Kasowa. Curtis, what's the latest on the situation?
Okay, yes, like you are aware earlier, we spoke to the MC who just told us that demolition will start very soon. He told us that we should be expecting roughly by next week or so, demolition will start. But I asked him, since the BRT project was not going to start anytime soon, why are they in a haste to continue with the demolition? And when he's saying that residents have disrespected them, what they did, that they've given residents several notices about the fact that the land that they were occupying belonged to the district assembly, and the fact that the site of the land will be used for the BRT project. I think they're going to make this place the hub of the BRT project. There are going to be a portion that will be used for maintenance, another portion that will be used for construction works, another portion that will be used for loading of passengers and everything. It's like a big site that they're going to use, but the residents have disrespected them. They have not come to see them from the time that they set the notice till now. So they are surprised that they rather heard the information on TV and on radio as to the fact that residents were complaining that the official wanted to destroy. So they said they will still go ahead with the demolition exercise. Right now, we are at the site of the place. It's virtually quiet here. Most of the residents here. What I'm seeing here is that the structures are coming up, and they're coming up very fast. The DCU said that most of these structures that have been built here were built over the night. But I'm one of the residents here. He will tell us, he will speak to us, and I will just put some few questions to him and find out from him when did this whole thing happen, and whether they have the right permit to be on the land, because according to the DCE, none of them has any documentation. He said, and let me quote him here, he said that if any resident can come out with just one documentation to show that he has a land title or he has a document on the land, you will not go ahead with the demolition. So let me just put this question to one of the residents here and find out from him what the situation is. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the Joint News City.
Good afternoon, brother. I'm a friend Godfred Asamoah. I'm saying Peace FM, any Adam FM, FA, the Sasembia, Obom Road, opposite Big Man Town. This in a show every one alleged I friend Balafa in China. But the minimum assassin will say this now demanded in Kratasem. One problem in say yes, started say a year, Juma Hani, you say problem. Our assassin, or one Alex Donko, our year, Jumo BNI. Any alleged Balafana, what tongue Amadisino, and and into your social media, you will say, and once some our court. Until the aya and say, a chain, now court. I then a judgment, and I say, we will abandon who dear, I don't know. And some young baby, I am Yabeko. And into say this need demanded people every tenant no and Yadia. You bet me any people be a man because problem no our court war. This month of first cry call home assam our court at 22nd Yabeko court to 2005. Alex don't connect the injunction about 4 alleged Balafano Esso. And into a day Edda will be so our then in your people how they come this no. And into your idea you bring your people be at the Aman and Manuia. Now the idea you say I want some our court. And into your Chama court at the new ruling I then Abba. Because you and I say will be to me for to me.
Your mammy so now one night tongue assassin mammo. I haven't in San Class as Nipper and tongue. Tenant one is no be in a land owner. And this is here because a way individual been a ton ya and tro. Yende ya to ton ankra ewo amanfro for nipa bebre enchen. And I hear quiet search and I consume who say I am akwa asare and I register her. Nti di akire na na yekon ni akwa asare na ban Alexon kwa na wode alaji fa no akokot ama 2005 ye den junction abeton so. And nti yende ya hwese court ruling no beba. Na da say ebekọ Alexon kono side na ye hu pipes no kwan emfa so aka ana alagine ne ewuri ya say DC no aba so oba begugu adan na ewo ha no
na asema e court eye den na obi nya hu tumi e de bebu obi edan yen fa ne say ya tisi dan mpo na ya fom kra na this na nkasa so o misa alaji na odi asase no ma na say wonim so wo problem e wa asase no ho o court problem I mra me no ka say alexanko asevo alaji no I court procedures ni nyina bi nti say this ni ennim a won hwehwem because problem e wa asase no.
Hello, Kamini. I have here the president of the Residents Association, the Residents Common Association.
Right.
The president is here. He's called Stephen Ofosuajari. We just pose a few questions to him as well, and we'll just get the situation there. We'll see what we are. Okay, so good afternoon, sir. Welcome live to join us on OTT.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Okay, so we spoke to the district chief, the minister chief executive concerning this land, and he said that you do not have authority, you do not have any papers, any documents here to prove that you are the landowners here. So he's going ahead to demolish the structures. What do you make of all these assertions, sir?
I have in my house right now the documents covering all this land. There's a case between our landlord and Alhaji Balafao pending at the court. But this Balafao has bypassed this case and has made different documents, has prepared different documents, and sold this portion, part of the land, to the assembly. So what I'm telling the DD is that you should be very careful in dealing with this issue because the case is still pending at the court. The case is still very important. I have here an injunction that was put on the Alhaji that he should not step on the land. And the affidavit that he himself have also sworn that he will never also step on the land until this case is finished. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, and when we spoke to the DC earlier, he said that they've given you several notices not to put up structures, and the fact that most of you build their houses overnight. What do you make of these allegations at all?
My brother, it is not true. The buildings are there already before they came and wrote some stop on it. And they backdated it. Assuming they come today, then they were about 4 or 5 months ago date, as if they have made this thing a long time ago. So it is not true. The buildings were there before they sold the place to him. Because where would he have write those software? Because the buildings are...
The DC is so set to go ahead with the demolition.
We are marching straight to the president wherever we can go to show our documents for them to know that we have legal documents.
Right. Hello, Kamini.
Right.
Yeah, so these are some of the sentiments that we've come out across, and as I speak to you, they've gathered in their numbers here, and they're all just a bit pensive, in a pensive move, kind of a bit trying to discuss the situation among themselves. So I will bring viewers the latest information tonight in the evening, just with the pictures and everything, so that viewers could know the situation on the ground here. But
absolutely, absolutely.
You definitely, you say you go along with the demonstration. You hear what residents say; they'll still embark on their demonstration to the president. So we'll bring viewers the latest information as to what really comes out from this particular story.
Thank you very much, Curtis, for the update. I'll move on to some other stories. And sympathizers and supporters of Kwadwo Owusu-Afriyie, the General Secretary of the main opposition party NPP and communications team member Hobson Adoye, also of the NPP, intend holding vigils across the country ahead of the appearance before the 9 judges of the Supreme Court Wednesday. They've been summoned to answer charges and comments they made which are perceived to be contempt of the court. As the Supreme Court resumes sitting on the election petition on Wednesday, there are security concerns these vigils and other similar social gatherings, with fears they may raise political tension ahead of the final verdict. On to some other stories. The Alliance for Accountable Governance has called on the Chief Justice Georgina Theodora Root to stop the Supreme Court from pressing charges against the General Secretary of the NPP, Kwadwo Owusu-Afriyie, and a member of the party's communications team, Hobson Adoye. According to the president of AFAC, Dr. Nana Ayew-Afriyie, there is no need pressing charges against Owusu-Afriyie because it would be a distraction to the actual case pending at the Supreme Court and destabilize stabilize the country's security and peace. Kojo Usufriye and Hobson Adoya have been summoned to appear before the Supreme Court on Wednesday following contemptuous comments they are alleged to have made contrary to the court's caution. Dr. Nana Usufriye further said AFAG wants the Chief Justice to intervene and will be happy if they do that for the sake of the peace in the country. Now, and so we know that that NPP supporters intend to hold vigils across the country, but what's the significance of this from, a human rights perspective? Human rights activist Samuel Akologo is joining me to give us some answers. Hello, Samuel.
Hello.
Right, from where you sit, what do you think about these vigils they intend to hold ahead of the Supreme Court's verdict?
Thank you very much. First of all, if it is just a peaceful assembly, I think that is within every citizen's right to have an assembly and to associate. But also from the context of what we are doing to promote peace and harmony before and after the adjudication of the election petition. I think that in that context, if a vigil is in the context of prayer, then I would say that is very welcome, because our bishops' conference are praying for the nation. They have asked us all to commit the country to prayer. So if the intention is to do that, why not? But also, finally, if this is an effort to contain overreaction or extreme reactions of people, I would welcome that. So in that sense, it's an effort to make sure that people are well educated, people are well informed, their emotions are managed, that they don't overreact.
But Samuel, if it was a religious body doing this, I'm sure those who have raised concerns of it raising political tensions wouldn't. But being a political party, you think people are justified to raise concerns of raising tensions ahead of the verdict?
I hold a contrary opinion. I haven't heard people express different opinions. But as I said, I'm looking at this in the context of a vigil for prayer. Of course, you can have vigil for other purposes. You can even have a vigil as a form of protest. But I'm looking strictly at the assembly for a vigil for prayer. And in that context, I think it's welcome and it should be encouraged that people should pray.
Right. Thank you very much, Samuel. Samuel Akologo is a human rights expert, human rights activist, rather, and he's been touching on the NPP supporters' vigil to be held across the country. According to him, or for him, it's very welcome. I move on to some other stories, but, the president has expressed satisfaction with security arrangements put in place to avert any troubles before, during, and after the Supreme Court's ruling. According to Deputy Information Minister Felix Kwakye Ofosu, President Mahama has been following keenly all the measures and is certain Ghana will remain peaceful after the verdict. Kwakye Ofosu was speaking at the daily briefing. Now, in the Upper West, the Regional Director for the National Youth Authority, Abdul Mumin Suleimana, has warned that the failure by parties to accept the Supreme Court verdict on the election petition will bring about what he terms random migration. He fears the youth will be most affected in the event of any unsought situation. He has thus dissuaded them from following politicians to use them for their parochial interest. Abdul Mumin Suleimana was speaking at a program to mark the International Day of the Youth in Wa. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The Upper West Directorate of the National Youth Authority brought together youth groups in the region, including students from ISEC, on an exchange program to commemorate the day. The Upper West Regional Director of the National Youth Authority, Abdul Mumin Suleimana, observed that young people from the three northern regions, especially the Upper West region, are compelled to migrate to the southern belt in search of greener pastures due to lack of opportunity. This, he fears, may be compounded by failure of parties to the election petition to accept the Supreme Court verdict.
It is time we know we don't have any other place apart from Ghana. As young people, most politicians will come and use us to achieve their territorial interests, after which they will dump us. Isn't it time for us to reason as young people? Should we continue to be those vehicles that they use and dump? No. I believe the answer is no. It is time as young people you focus on how you can empower and develop yourself, such that your expertise will let people look for you.
The Wa Municipal Commander of the Ghana Police Service, DSP Stephen Ananiboy Tete, appealed to the youth to learn from those in authority as they are the future leaders.
We are being told that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and now I'm being told that we are the leaders of today. When you look at our ministers, most of them are the youth of today, and they are doing well. So why not this time also take your good mantle and make sure that you develop your potential? Because you have a very good potential for yourself, and we the police will make sure that we come out with a condition, a very good atmosphere for you to develop potential.
Rafiq Salam's report from Wa.
Well, it's festive season for the people of Ghana, and the people of Tashi have started their customary rites as well. Now, Homowo was celebrated in Tashi, but they failed to start the annual festival due to a chieftaincy dispute that has rocked the community. The case, though not resolved by parties, has been laid aside for the commencement of Gbemila, a rite performed to kickstart the festival.
At about 3:10 p.m., residents were out prepared for the ceremony. The ceremony started with the Wulomo, the chief priest, leading a route march to the town square. The MP for Lojokuku, Benita Sena Okitidia, said all is being done to resolve the chieftaincy dispute.
Very honest, I wasn't properly informed about what exactly has happened, but I have taken steps to see how best we can bring unity. I am for peace, and I am an MP who seeks the interests of the people. So mine is to address my plight in Parliament and see how best the government can come to our aid, because I can't do it alone. I need the help of the government to make sure peace prevails in this constituency.
Residents were excited peace was returning to the area. Residents expressed elation.
This is the midday brief. I'll come back shortly. In business, 40 media practitioners from Africa undergo a 2-week training program on oil and gas reporting in order to enhance the ability to report on the sector. The program, organized by the Revenue Watch Institute, is to foster deeper understanding of the extractive industry and also create a platform where journalists can effectively monitor revenue inflows and outflows from the sector to curb corruption.
Participants were drawn from Ghana, Tanzania, Sudan, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Nigeria and Zimbabwe, and it's the fifth in the series organized by the Institute. The participants over the period will deepen their knowledge and acquire skills independently, analyze fiscal and revenue management policies in the extractive industry.
Basically aimed at enhancing the skills and knowledge of people across the continent on these issues, to be able to ensure that we can hold our governments and companies to account, to make sure that on the part of governments the right policies, the right legal and regulatory frameworks are in place, and that the revenues from the sector is managed in a more transparent and accountable manner to improve on lives of the people.
Participants will also undertake a field trip to some mining communities to interact with the local community and to know at first hand the challenges confronting them and how to deal with them.
And the reason we are targeting this broad range of actors is because everybody knows that Africa is endowed with these natural resources, but it's also challenged in terms of how they are managed. But the question is, what we've got to do about this? Our contribution is that you need to make sure that citizens and citizens groups are equipped with the right knowledge and understand the sector, so that they will be in the position to be able to hold their government and the companies to account in their whole countries.
After the training, participants are expected to apply the knowledge gained to help streamline reportage in the mining and oil and gas industry.
Ongoing projects in the road works and housing and the energy sectors would be the first to benefit from the Eurobond proceeds. Now, Finance Minister Tekpe has told journalists $750 million of the $1 billion recently raised on the international capital market last month has been lodged into government's accounts.
Speaking to Joy Business after engaging the media on the Eurobond, Finance Minister Tekpe says the disbursement would be done in line with the budget.
There is merit in using long-term bonds to finance even some major projects which may not necessarily be self-financing but has significant economic benefits. If we use the bonds to finance hospital projects, for example, it has significant benefits in addition to the loans. But yes, we are going to be, as I said, we are going to be targeting some self-financing projects. And we would have expected that, what we expect rather is that we are going to be working with the sector ministries so that Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, for example, is viable. Ghana Gas Project is going to be viable. VRA used to borrow on its own balance sheet, previously. So some of these institutions, GNPC is borrowing on its own balance sheet. We will work with these institutions to strengthen their balance sheet.
He gave a breakdown as to how the funds will be utilized, explaining that the partial use of the bond issue proceeds to refinance maturing domestic debt will reduce the reliance on the short end of the market, especially for domestic capital projects and the long lead times being experienced in sourcing and implementing some projects related to multilateral and bilateral funds.
As a lower middle income country that will be accessing the markets more frequently, we wanted to add to our mix the sources from which we get financing. And having had a first experience with the sovereign bond, obviously the way forward for Ghana is to access the bond market. We are not, by this move, giving up, soft sources of financing like the World Bank or the African Development Bank. I think we need to emphasize that.
The availability of the Eurobond proceeds will speed up the implementation of development projects in the 2013 budget, he adds. Counterpart funding can now be made available for previously approved projects to enable these projects to be completed. Finally, the early redemption of the Ghana's debut 2017 Eurobond will reduce the rollover risk of refinancing the entire $750 million bond when it matures in 2017.
In some more business news, the Textile Workers Union is agitated over what they say is government's failure to honor a contract signed with local textile manufacturers. It says has serious implications for jobs in the sector. The union says though it was agreed the local manufacturers will supply the fabric to be used for the free school uniform project, government has not ordered any production for the past 2 years. Abiola Dumahuenchi has the rest of the story.
Government in 2009 signed on Printex, which had the appropriate machinery at the time, to produce and supply 5.5 million yards of the fabric for the school uniforms. It subsequently received funds to produce some 3 million yards, which is supplied in March 2011. The Textile Workers Union, however, says nothing has been forthcoming since. The contract was seen as an industry saver, especially after 20,000 textile workers were laid off in the 1990s due to the influx of pirated prints onto the market. According to the union, there are currently just about 3,000 workers in the industry whose jobs are still threatened by the illicit importation of pirated textiles.
For the first contract, 5.5 million, we knew it was going to end by 2011, October. And then, we renew another contract. But even the first one has not been fully executed. So, I don't know whether the schools have closed now, or those children, whether they are wearing their cover cloth or whatever to school, I don't know. So that is the problem that we have. It has stopped. And the workers are apprehensive, whether they are going to be sent home. They don't know. That's why the union is so much concerned that we feel that we cannot sit down to allow this to go on. And if by next week we don't hear anything, I think we have to, mobilize the workers to go to the ministry there to go and find out what exactly is going on.
Government was quite clear about its objectives with the project as captured in these publications back in 2009 and 2010.
Although government has contracted a local textile company to produce uniforms for peoples in Ghana, I found this uniform on the market. It's sewn and imported. Now it has the Ghana flag inverted on it. Now the question I'm asking is that if you're importing uniforms, how do we expect the local textile industry to boom?
That's our worry. So it means that somebody has taken the contract and procuring this product from China, already soon. But we even thought that if the materials are produced here, dressmakers in Ghana will also get some job to do. What we are hearing is that it is cheaper to import these already sewn uniforms to Ghana. But honestly, if you compare the quality, the fabric that is used to produce this thing there, you cannot. I mean, this is locally produced, and if you hold the texture, you see the difference. I don't think that any school, primary school child can use this for 2 months.
The head of public relations at the Education Ministry, Paul Kwampa, attempts to explain the presence of the imported uniforms, which is being speculated to have been a government initiative.
Well, former Black Stars captain Stephen Appiah and former teammate Kwame Ayew were part of the local component of the team that arrived in Turkey on Monday morning. Appiah and Ayew are expected to encourage the Black Stars ahead of the international friendly against the Turks on Wednesday night. Joy Sports sources say the duo's accommodation and expenses will be financed by the Ghana Football Association as part of a drive to involve retired members of the Black Stars in a build-up to Ghana Games. Kwesi Appiah's charges trained for the first time in Turkey on Monday evening ahead of the friendly, which forms part of Ghana's preparations for the crucial 2014 World Cup qualifier against Zambia next month. Wrapping up with some arts and entertainment news, fans of sensational hip live artist Kwabena Ochredako, you may know him as a Brafo, should brace themselves for a born-again musician as he hints he will be parting ways with Saki the Music December this year. There can be another Brafo, but quickly before we go, the recently named male musician of the year at the 2013 City People's Awards Guru, as his gifts to the people of Gamashi, invaded Koligono with a beach jam, giving promising musicians a platform to showcase their talents.
Still on the Hamowa festivities, it appears many musicians have their work cut for them this festival season. As the people of Gamashi celebrates their annual Hamowa, hip life artist Nanayawe J. Yeboah, also known as Guru, and his friends put up a beach party for them.
The thing is, we are Ghanaians and we all support our culture, which is, if it is Muslims celebrating Salah, we still support we still rep with them. And if it is homo traditional, we all support. So me being artist not from a Ghana community, or I think to break down or to break the unity or to get people together as it is like on one particular platform whereby you can relate. That's why I'm doing it inside Polygon, just to have a feel of my fans from the other side.
This has been the Midday Briefing. Our headlines again. Government students of teacher training colleges will no longer enjoy trainee allowances. Rather, they will be given students' loan. Residents of Kasowa Obom up in arms against Assemblyman's planned demolition exercise. NPP supporters to hold vigil across the country to intercede for their General Secretary and a communications team member. And police implicated in galamsey activities in Chifo Praso. Your comments are welcome on any of our broadcasts on our Facebook page, Joy News on TV, as well as our Twitter handle @JoyNews on TV. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.